You're listening to an Anazao Ministries podcast.
Do you have the desire to be lifelong friends with a whale? What about being deceived for the sake of one night of happiness? How long is too long to hold a giant grudge? We are going to be discussing all of that here today. We are Systematic Theology. I am Elizabeth and Clyde, and joining me is another of my favorite hosts. I have learned his last name now. It's James Demmel. How are you doing today, James?
I'm doing great, especially because you pronounced my last name perfectly.
Yes, because I have you saved in my phone as James Podcast. So the last time I was like, NJ, yep, don't know your last name, but now I know.
Makes sense. I mean, James is a pretty basic white guy name, so you gotta specify where your James was from.
That's how I feel with my husband's name. But it's Taylor, so it's a basic guy and girl name. But it's only whenever I need to call on behalf of him because they don't know. And I'm like, oh, I'm Taylor. Don't question. If I would have been like, oh, I'm James, a little questionable. But it was. I like the name James. It's very biblical.
It is very biblical. Yes, my brother's name is John. My parents definitely didn't do that intentionally, but I like to think that we're sons of thunder because the ordering's right and everything. So,
I mean, I feel like that was, spiritually intentional. Even if they didn't know it, the spirits knew it.
Yeah, for sure. The spirit knew it.
The spirit knew it. Amen. Amen. So, what have you been geeking out on, James?
Okay, so over the last couple months, I've been super busy, so I haven't been geeking out on much, but I spent a lot of my early summer obsessing over Tears of the Kingdom, the new Legend of Zelda game, and just lost in that. I finally completed the story. It's just one of those games you can get super lost in, and it's incredible. So that's been my big nerd out, and just very fervently watching every single One Piece episode that comes out on Saturday night because tomorrow, August the 5th, year 5th,
everyone is
coming.
I'm so sad. I know exactly what everyone's talking about, but I'm still 50 episodes behind. But
Sorry for spoiling that. It's just everywhere right now. So
but people wouldn't really know what gear. Well, they kind of know what Gear 5 is, but they wouldn't. It's not really a big. Of course, he's going to evolve, right? I've been geeking out on just a lot of romance manga. So I just got back from New York this week, and so I was there for about 2 weeks. And I'm a helpless romantic. Everyone knows this. And so I was just really missing my husband. So I was trying to fill all. I read so much romance manga, and I was just like, I miss Taylor so much. But one that was just the cutest little cheesy romance novel. It's called Kana and the Apprentice, and it's literally her dad is a carpenter, and he's this manly, macho person, and of course he loves his daughter, and he takes on an apprentice, and he's like, no dating because you have to focus on your workmanship and blah blah blah. And of course they end up falling in love, but then they didn't do what we would always think, where they secretly date. They were upfront and honest, and they try to win the dad's approval. And his dream is he was an orphan, and so he actually met the dad as a kid when the dad was at the orphanage doing some construction, and the dad built him a little toy house. He's like, one day you can grow up and build a house for your own family. He's an orphan, and that's been his goal. It was just, and he did build that own house for his family.
He built that house.
He built that house.
I love that because it's not super over the top.
No, it's very practical. It's not
something that could actually happen.
Yeah, it's not the most popular guy ever somehow notices the shy, sweet girl and blah blah blah. It was just such a lighthearted read, and I did not get any sleep. And I pretty much read, because manga is manga, so it's just a lot of it is the same story just rewritten. I read pretty much so many of those little 30 chapters, so but it's good. And I'm home now with my husband. Thank you very much. So transitioning into what we are going to be talking about, we kind of mentioned it a little bit before with Gear 5th, but we are rewinding it back. Not, just a little back, from I think episode 1000 and something to episode 62. So we're going to be talking about the Reverse Mountain arc of One Piece. We're going to be talking about Whiskey Peak, Kobe, and Helpo. I can't remember how you pronounce it. And then the Little Gordon arc. So I think it's about maybe 15-ish episodes. But James is unlike me. He has also read the manga. And so he just refreshed the manga. I refreshed the anime. We're going to compare the notes. And James, you said this is some of your favorite like episodes.
Yeah, it rereading the manga today, it takes place over the course of about like 25 chapters, so it's not super long to get through. But I just takes me back to the time when like, maybe this is because we've been like arcs right now in One Piece are so long. Like Whole Cake Island was so long. Wano was like 200 episodes. I think it's over 200 episodes now. It's getting close, and it's just like holy cow! And like there's not a whole lot of surprise. You know what's coming. Like there's some twists, but like back in these arcs, there was just this like really genuinely sweet sense of adventure. Like you didn't know what the next island was going to be. Like you knew you were going to Wano for like 4 arcs, you know. But like you didn't know what Little Garden was until they said Little Garden for the first time. You didn't know what Whiskey Peak was. So like anything could happen. I think like this period of One Piece is like when it was at its funniest. So just like some super hilarious moments across these couple arcs. So it was really fun to revisit and go back and get lost in it.
I feel like even the character development too is really getting established. Because we'll talk about Reverse Mountain in a little bit, but when I was rewatching the anime, Sanji was actually holding a gun. And I'm like, yes. Sanji with a gun? I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, when Best Girl Robin showed up for the first time, he held a gun. And that, like, no pun intended here, that, like, blew my mind. I did not, I was shook when I read it. Because that was in the manga, too, so I was shook.
Cool. Yeah, the Reverse Mountain arc, that's when they just pretty much got up the mountain, defied death, and that's when they meet Lapoon. Is that his name? Lampoon? Lapoon?
I've heard Laboon or...
Laboon. I knew Lapoon was... Like, it didn't sound right. I was watching these episodes, kind of listening to them while I was in excruciating pain getting new tattoos, so the hearing was a little off. But, okay, Lapoon. And that was really a sad arc. Like, those 2 episodes, like... I just don't understand. Like, you didn't really need them at all, but it was important because it's going to be referenced in down the road, but we won't do spoilers. Because remember, Lapoon was a whale that was left behind another cruise ship. And they was like, we'll be back for you. And they never came back.
Yeah, like this whole section, without spoilers, this whole sort of section of One Piece is just like foreshadowing and world building at its finest. So like a bunch of like seemingly random things are happening that are like fun and amusing and like sort of capture the sense of the world, like that it's, you know, anything could happen. But like down the road,
yeah, you don't know it's important until it's
right. You see that Oda Sensei is doing some incredible world building. So.
Yeah, because honestly, just rewatching it, when I watched these 2 episodes the first time, I didn't really care about the dumb whale, just to be honest. And now I want to be best friends with the whale. Like, let me be a part of the crew so I can, like, go visit him.
Yeah, it's a very cute whale.
I mean,
honestly.
Not anymore because he was trying to, like, destroy the Grand Line, so he had scars and whatnot. So he's a warrior. You can't call a warrior. I
mean, those eyes, though.
Yeah, you're right. When like he was tearing up and whatnot. And then when Luffy painted the seal on his nose so he would stop hitting the wall. He's like, all right, don't mess it up now. And it was just an awful paint job. But
that's such an iconic, like that paint job. And when Luffy tried to do his first like flag, those are just such iconic. Like that's the tattoo I want to get.
Oh no, don't do that.
just for the laughs.
No, you can. I mean, I feel like you can because you are the Luffy avatar, so you can do anything you want regarding One Piece and be like, I am Luffy. Luffy is I.
Can Luffy do anything he wants? Keep reading the series, you'll find out.
I mean, he'll find a way to somehow do something. That is it. But then, like, Whiskey Peak arc, man, I feel like that's the most turning point. We get, like, a lot of character introduction in Whiskey Peak. This is where we kind of learn a little bit about the hidden organization Baroque's work, and we're introduced to, like, key characters. And I actually forgot like their welcome at first because everyone was so welcoming to pirates and Sanji was just living his best life. And I'm for Sanji. Like if Sanji can like fool girls and like catch a break, I'm for it. So I loved this arc. Well, at least that one night of happiness they got.
Yeah, I want Sanji to find love. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but
I know.
Someone asked me recently whether I like Zoro or Sanji better, and I love them both. but I'm not gonna lie. I get that this is a controversial opinion, but Sanji has a soft place in my heart.
Yeah, because he's gonna like. See, my thing is Sanji would dote, and he would cook for me, and he would love me, and Zoro would protect me and make me feel safe. But I don't need it. I like I want a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah, you need more than that.
And Sanji's both. He's a fighter and a lover.
I think Sanji's strong. Sanji and Zoro, they compete the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
What else does Zoro have besides fight and be grumpy?
This is true. I mean, in the future, he doesn't even have both eyes.
This is true. Yeah, Sanji can work the hands and the feet.
Whoa. All right.
Zoro,
Back on track before my 2D fantasies. I was just kidding.
yeah, lots of characters introduced here. The whole sort of iconic moment, and the fight itself is just hilarious.
Between Zoro and Luffy?
Yeah, when Zoro and Luffy fight, that one time that everyone forgets about, they actually seriously fought.
Well, because Luffy thought the whole town that welcomed them so much was pretty much plotting to loot them for their bounty. So Zoro beat them all up, and Luffy thought Zoro just beat him up because he didn't like the food.
Yeah, he woke up from his food coma, and after I love the panels in the manga of Luffy just really bloated, gum balloon style bloated, of full of food, and him just nature calls, walking to the bathroom, and him coming back a little bit less. And I'm just you know what? You don't often get bathroom break moments in popular media, but here we are, One Piece.
Right.
But they were going after it, and the best part was the Baroque Works agents who were trying to capture Vivi, who we thought was Miss Wednesday, Baroque Works agent, now is the princess of Alabasta. They're coming to get her, and they're Zoro's trying to defend her. Luffy comes, runs up, misinterprets the situation, and then in the midst of Zoro and Luffy's fight, they just demolish these Baroque Work agents just by being in proximity to them. So it's really funny.
Get out of our way.
And then Nami. I'm convinced, in many ways, Nami is the most powerful member of the Straw Hat crew.
She holds the money, so yes, I agree.
She holds the money, and whenever someone's fooling around, Nami just takes care of them. That's how this fight ended. Was Nami knocking some sense into him.
I feel like Nami and Zoro I know this is just me, but I feel like Nami and Zoro did a little bit of flirting when they were bantering about the money, because she's I returned you that money. She's no interest, and she was getting him, because at first he didn't want to help Vivi at all when she was getting kidnapped, but then Nami made a deal, if you pay us, we'll protect the princess and stuff. And so just her bullying Zoro and blackmailing him, I feel like that was flirting, just my little part. That's what I see. But,
yeah. There's not a whole lot of love interest going on in One Piece.
No.
You take your moments.
I grab it as I can because I just want them all to love.
You gotta take your moments. They come.
Mm-hmm. But then, even after Whiskey Peak, they set sail for to Alabasta at Vivi's Island, and then you just transition on. And I love that they went back and we saw Kobe. Kobe back from the very beginning, where I can't even remember the island, but it was Kobe, Zoro, and Luffy against Alvida and Buggy and whatnot, and so we got to see a little bit of Kobe past. Are you a fan of the Hell? Why can't I say his name? Helmeppo.
It's a really weird art
It
name.
sounds like a medicine almost. Do you have Helmeppo-titis?
Yeah. What illness do you have? So his character design is intentionally annoying, I think, and so I am annoyed by him because I think that's what you're supposed to be. But it's interesting. So in the manga, this happens instead of being one or two episodes, sort of aside. It happens over the course of several different chapters. So if you don't know, the One Piece manga tells the main story, and then Oda Sensei from time to time will do cover shots, and so that sort of 2 episode aside is done over the course of 20 or 30 chapters just on the cover. So you just get one panel and a description of it happening. Okay. So it was kind of fun, reading through and seeing all of those shots again. And I sort of love the training arc they have. Kobe and Helmeppo and Garp are really big characters, especially with what's sort of no spoiler, but with what's happening right now in the manga. So Oda again setting up moments that are going to happen 20 years in the future.
Who can think that far in advance? I cannot.
I more than anything admire his dedication.
This is true.
Anyways, yeah, no, those were really cool moments and kind of crazy to see. Who actually just in one of the most recent chapters of the manga, there's a flashback to Kobe training like during that time, and it's a fun callback.
Gosh, I'm so excited to see Kobe's character development. I feel like down the road, this is just me speculation, because so if it's happened already, to a straight face, but and I don't think it has happened. I feel like I would have heard of like Kobe and Luffy having to go one-on-one. You know what I mean? Like it's like inevitable. Like it's going to happen. It's just like, when is it going to happen?
Yeah, I think it has to happen eventually.
It has to happen eventually.
I think it has to happen eventually. Yeah, hasn't happened yet.
No,
So, has not happened yet.
I didn't think so. I would have heard the whispers of the foiling.
Yeah, has not happened yet. So, but the what I'll say is this: the training that Kobe does definitely pays off. He gets some big power boost.
So he gets taller.
He does get taller.
Okay, good.
He looks much more attractive. I know, the glasses go back.
Oh, I have seen like him a little bit older.
He gets a really cool bandana.
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
Who wouldn't be into a bandana? I mean, look at Zoro. Every time he puts on that bandana, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Bandana.
Kobe's cool for sure. He becomes really cool. But we didn't even mention out of Whiskey Peak. I'm not saying to our systematic geology listeners that I have a manga or anime crush. I'm not saying that. I'm also not saying that if I did have one, that it would be Nico Robin. But that character does appear for the first time.
It does.
With the cowboy hat. And I just like, the cowboy hat look is iconic. That moment when she first appears, really iconic. And, there's this whole big mystery about like, because she kind of helps them or like tries to help them out, but she's like the co-chair of this like evil organization.
Well, especially because her powers. Like we know her powers now, and so but at that time you don't know her powers at all.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, I see how she did that now. Oh, I say, oh, it makes sense now.
Yeah, I totally forgot about the moment. Like she uses her powers to grab the straw hat and put the straw hat on, and like we should have known. Like when a character grabs a straw hat and puts a straw hat on, at least a female character in One Piece, like that person is, let's just say, an important character for the future of the group. Right. So that was a cool moment. Yeah. And like I completely forgot about this, but she like rode this turtle thing, like this giant turtle. Like Luffy like takes a moment to note, like, oh, that's a cool giant turtle that she's riding on. And I just like I have questions because I have not seen this giant turtle since.
I have questions about the otter and the vulture, like the unfortunates is what they're called with
Yeah.
And so they report everything pretty much to the head person, Mr. Zero, as we know, his like code name. Right. So, like, so are they like, because they don't talk, so they're not from like
they're not minks.
Yeah, that's what
they don't look like minks. They could be like devil fruit users, but I don't think it's ever really explained.
I don't think so.
To be honest.
And I'm like, what the heck is wrong with them?
I guess like there are a lot of animals, creatures in the One Piece world that seem to have
intelligence.
Yeah,
like,
intelligence.
Even with like pets and whatnot. Like, I mean, you look at the lions and Wano and whatnot.
Right.
Like,
yeah, and like the like even the dog in like the Orange Village arc, where they fight Buggy, and like the dog's defending them.
So I mean, it makes sense, but I got some questions. It was pondering questions.
Yeah, that's fair. A lot of unsolved mysteries of One Piece.
But I mean, it's not going to give any spoilers, but there is that giant aquarium. Remember, like in the lair that maybe the turtle went there.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Interesting.
So it was just speculating here. Like, okay, now
I'm gonna read through for glimpses of the turtle next time I read through Alabasta.
Do it. Oh yeah. We learned about Alabasta this time, and what I love about the Grand Line, I thought about this the other day. So each island has its own. Each island has its own climate that doesn't make any sense. So one might be snowy, one might be tropical, and this is the very beginning, but it's not really a spoiler that we've learned. Like, each island has its own personality. So I feel like the Grand Line is pretty much Epcot of Disneyland, if you kind of think about it, because like it goes so many different places, and you're like, oh, let me do this. Oh, let me experience this culture. Oh, let me do. So I had that thought the other day. I was like,
it's the Epcot of the world. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it makes sense. So, but I'm excited for just the little garden coming up. I feel like that is. I didn't finish it, and I am gonna like finish. I remember everything, but I just wanted to rewatch everything.
Mm-hmm.
But this is where they meet the two giants, and so TJ mentioned that we saw a giant at in Logtown, but it wasn't really acknowledged. But this is where we actually like learn of the, I guess, the species that giants exist.
Right.
I'm trying to find their name. I had it on my app. But pretty much the two giants, one's name is like Brody, or one starts with a D. I can't remember it.
Dorian Broggie.
There we go. Thank you. So
Gotcha.
they're pretty much, so they get onto this island, and it's a giant jungle. So this is, I always refer to it as the Jurassic Park Island, because this is where dinosaurs happen. And so we kind of learn, out of all like these orcs, this is like the episodes of like 7. So we kind of learn a little bit more about the team and how specifically Nami and Usopp are the chickens of the team, and they just kind of like start seeing that gap that they start feeling a little bit like the weakest link, but that's okay. My favorite is like this, the people literally choose sides because the two giants are doing this feud for over 100 years, this giant feud, and they don't even know what it was about at all. Have you ever had that where you like was fighting with someone or had a communication and you just forgot why you were mad?
Trying to think. Probably. I think I've had fights where it's like your fight for so long that like the original issue just seems like stupid. Like, why did we even get in this fight in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like a lot of times with fights, this is my pastoral counselor coming in. A lot of the times the fights that we have are never really over the issues that start them or that spark them off. It's always something else under the surface.
Mm-hmm.
So for them, like they can't, like the issue is not whatever like thing actually caused this feud. The issue is their pride and their honor, right, has been offended and upset.
Yeah, and the sad thing is they were like the best friends. Like they were besties for like ever, and they can't even remember why they were mad. And so it ends up where like because the crew went to split up to find food. And it's kind of funny because it foreshadows those Sanji and Zoro was like, I'm going to find the most meat. No, I am. And so with everyone split up, some of the crew chooses one giant side, the other crew the other giant side. So it's just kind of like, I mean, in every fight, you gotta get your crew. You gotta pick sides.
This is true. Yeah. And then it's fun how they come together, and then the mystery of who laced the ale with explosives.
Which was Brooke's work, you guys. Our Luffy would never.
Would definitely never. But
he would just punch you in the face.
Yeah, he would punch you in the face, right? Luffy's not sneaky. There's no deceit there.
Yeah.
But they don't know that. They don't know Luffy.
Yeah. So, because of that, but even then, like, I think about when they chose sides, like, I think of one of my friends kind of, whenever they break up and whatnot, like, you naturally choose, well, I mean, in counseling, you're not supposed to, but as a female, screw those men. You know what I mean? Like, he sucks. Like, you do it because you naturally, so it's fun. But even then, like, it's like best friends fighting. It's sad. I've fought with my best friends before, and even then, like, the chin was not, like, we never did resolve it. And I know why we fought. I was jealous. So I felt like she moved on and from our friendship. And so I just stopped talking to her because I'm like, oh, she can go, like, oh, fine, she has new friends. And then we were best friends and we drifted apart. And then I turned bitter. And then homegirl ends up passing away in a car crash.
Oh, snap.
I had to go through counseling for that one.
Yikes. That's awful. I hate when things like unresolved like that. That's real board fear.
Yeah, I think I was still 18, 19 maybe at the time. But then, like, you know, we were best friends like at 14, 15, and then, like, a few years you just grow apart, but then you have that, even though you never really, like, had a big blowout fight, it was just that simmering thing. And then I'm like, I remember, like, the why, kind of, but I can't remember the specific moment when I was like, no, I'm done with her. Like, I can't remember, like, if she did something, or if I just heard something, or if I got my feelings hurt. So I feel like we just do that naturally. And then you remember something wrong. I'm really good at doing this with my husband. I'm like, you said this. Like, I never said that. Like, yeah, she did. He's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, well, this is what I heard.
Yeah, this is what I heard. When we get frustrated and annoyed at someone, our memory does funny things. Everyone's memory does funny things.
But, and I mean, if we literally just communicated and not let pride get in the way, it would be a lot. But I mean, it's gonna happen. I'm a very prideful person. I hate admitting when I'm wrong.
Let's say it's fair. No one likes being wrong. No one likes being wrong. I think for me, like the question over their fights, there's one manga panel and it says like they fought like 73,000 times over the course of this 100-year period, and it's just like why can't it just be a draw? You know, why does someone have to win?
And then, like, don't they miss their families to go back to?
You're right, or their friends. You know, like definitely.
They must not have a wifey at home.
They definitely do not have a wifey at home because the wifey would have won.
The wifey would have like came and like just dragged them off the island and be like, "You done?"
Big facts.
Like, well, you're done playing now.
Yeah, they don't have a Nami on their crew. They need a Nami.
Yeah.
Nami would wall both of them. And
when my husband was my fiance and he didn't check in with me, he's like, "I'll call you at this time," blah, blah. And I was like living with his grandma next door. So like I could tell he wasn't home. I was like that kind of like psycho girlfriend. But he was like, I'm going to this game. I'll be home at this time. I'll see you when I get back. And he never did. And I called him and he wasn't checking in. And I called him and this was like now 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And I'm like, I'm freaking out. I'm like, and I go to worst case scenario. I was like, well, I knew he went to a football game. I literally went next door, woke his mother up out of bed, and we went and pulled him. I literally stood there and I pulled him off that football field.
wow.
Because he was playing like frisbee or whatever. I was like, no.
Wow.
Like, this is stupid. You will communicate with me.
Amen and amen.
That's what a wife does.
Communication is important. The foundation of any relationship.
Mm-hmm. It does. But then with Little Gordon, I want to say what happens, but we don't technically find out what happens with Nami and Little Gordon until the next arc. Like, we know something happens to her. So this is like, you guys, this is why you have to either A, watch the episodes, or B, listen to the next podcast on this, or C, do both. Do C. C's a great answer. But like Nami, pretty much gets into a little bit of trouble, but we don't find that until the next episode. But we do later on find out why the giants fall, because all throughout the scenery of this arc, there's giant bones with each giant. Like kind of like his base has giant bones, the other base has giant bones. So the whole reason why they were fighting is about which dinosaur they caught was bigger. Which is kind of funny because that's what Sanji and Zoro went to go do.
Right, yeah. That's so funny.
And then...
I'm just wondering. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that was 100 years because whose dinosaur was bigger?
I feel like that's something that Zoro and Sanji would definitely... You know, if they had the space and the time to feud for 100 years, they would definitely do that.
I don't know. I feel like Zoro... Oh, no, because Zoro likes to fight. But did you also notice in Withia, we kind of covered the basis of all the arcs we were going to cover, so we can kind of go into our little oh yeah moment. Zoro went straight when they were escaping Whiskey Peak. He went straight to the boat. He beat Luffy to the boat. He didn't get lost.
Oh.
See you. Now you're with me.
I'm trying to remember. I guess that trope of him getting lost probably had been established already.
I'm trying to think. I don't know yet.
I need to Google. When did Zoro get lost for the first time?
Because he beat Luffy to the boat. Because Luffy had to go get Usopp and Sanji. So I mean, maybe he could have technically ran Nami, but it was just one of those like crazy things you notice that is a big deal. Like Sanji with the gun, Zoro not getting lost.
Apparently, like someone on Reddit says that him getting lost becomes more of a serious gag in Alabasta.
Okay.
Interesting. But it's like been a thing the whole time. Oh well.
You see, it's just one of those little...
A rare moment.
Yeah, I just loved how and Zoro was so smart and calculative. Like everyone was sleeping, completely drunk and happy from the happiness night of deceit, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And Zoro was like, I took a nap, and it was just so funny because he literally took a nap on the way to get there, and all hell broke loose with them trying to do a snowstorm and all this whatnot. And Zoro wakes up and was like, why are you guys so tired? The weather's great. What's happening?
No, he's like, I can't believe you slept through that.
Yeah, and so just the fact that he's like, no, I feel great. I took a nap. I'm like, you freaking jerk, Zoro. We all.
Yeah. I mean, that's just,
It's so funny.
He comes through when they need him. Let's just like that. He comes through.
When he was talking to his sword, like with the cursed one, he was like, no, you behave. And he was like so excited to use them out. It just showed the playfulness of Zoro, because you really see playfulness down the road.
Yeah, I think, again, I'll go back to this. These arcs reminded me just how funny One Piece used to be, and like I have missed like there's still some moments, but like for instance, just like the last fights in both the whole Kick Island arcs and in Wano were just like so serious for so long. And you just like sort of forget that you get confident and like forget that One Piece is funny. So I am hopeful that they get back to that a little bit, because I think what's going to happen is now that Wano's over, I think the arcs are going to kind of go back to being a little bit shorter, like these arcs that we've been talking about.
That'd be nice. Just like a nice little like 4 or 5 episodes. I love watching a whole arc in one sitting. I love watching 4 arcs in one sitting.
Right.
Like it's so nice. I don't even know how Josh is going to divide up our future episodes, but you know that's his problem, not ours.
It is his problem.
Yeah. Through you, Josh. We love you. I always have to get a jab on Josh at least once every episode. It's fun. So as we are wrapping up, do you have any other comments about these shows? These arcs, not really shows.
Go watch them. Good laughs. But yeah, no, it's been great to go back through them.
Dude, it's okay. And even the English dub, everyone hates in the English dub, but like I said, I was listening to them while I was, torturing myself. And even, they're not bad. They're funny. Like, I just love anything that has family bonds and like in friendship and kinship like that is just, it warms my heart, because I'm like, who doesn't want friends like that?
Right.
Those are really fun to watch.
Yeah. And that's like, I feel like mostly what One Piece is all about. Like the moments, like there's one moment when like, they're going from Whiskey Peak to Little Garden that is highly underrated. And like Vivi is just like very like anxious about like going home and like the rest of the crew is just like goofing off, like being typical Luffy, Usopp, Zoro, Sanji shenanigans. And she's like Vivi's talking to Nami, and Nami's like, hey, when you're on a boat, when you're at sea, it's kind of hard to let all those little worries like drag you down.
And they get serious when it needs to be serious.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
I feel like later on, I'm like, they're just all serious now. And I'm like, no, it's the fun. It's okay. But hey, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to our show on Captivate or Patreon, whatever platform you listen to. It would mean a lot if you could give us a like and review or a rating, whatever they're called. And also, before we head out, I need to ask James, what is your recommendation besides One Piece? Because you are Luffy. Luffy are you? I know that was backwards.
What is my recommendation right now besides One Piece? Gosh, I feel like I've been given the same recommendation for like months now. But
if it's that good, it's that.
It's coming, y'all. The Ahsoka Star Wars show on Disney Plus is coming, and I am pumped. I am super pumped for it, and if you haven't watched Star Wars Rebels, now is the time to go watch Star Wars Rebels. If you are a Star Wars fan, you will love it, and it will validate me and what has been my favorite meme of the last, let's say, year. You all know that the Oppenheimer movie probably has been a big thing on people's minds if you haven't been living under a rock. Well, someone from on the internet took Chopper from Star Wars Rebels and made a movie poster called Choppenheimer. And if you watch Star Wars Rebels, you will get why that's hilarious. And so you should watch Star Wars Rebels to understand my joke and that meme.
All right, sounds good. So since I mentioned my tattoo a little bit earlier, I'm going to have to recommend, if you have not watched Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away, it's a Studio Ghibli movie. I have Haku the dragon now tattooed on my arm, so I'm pretty much Japanese Yakuza. Like this, I have a dragon on my arm. I am the Mafia. The Mafia is I. So that is my recommendation.
Can't confirm. It's 6 leaf.
Thank you very much. I'm almost done with 90 minutes. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and money, but here we are. We're almost done. All right. Well, once again, guys, thanks so much for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, and have a great time. Keep nerding out.
This was an Anazao Ministries podcast. If you enjoyed this show and would like to learn more about our network, be sure to check out the Anazao Ministries podcast network.